time that you've done something without expecting anything in return? When I was a kid, I used to struggle a lot with the idea that I might not be a good person. I really wanted to change the world. I wanted to share everything that I had. But I also wanted to go to the moon and be a famous fantasy writer. But I thought that you had to choose between being selfless or being ambitious. Because all of the people that I saw changing the world looked so confident, and I felt anything but that. Humanity can be selfish, self-centered, and full of self-doubt. We need to make all of these plans before we actually move. But how many plans do you have that you've actually done something with? But the people that we admire, they're never looking like they're worried that they might be the right person for the job. They look too busy doing it, right? But of course they are worried. Everybody has doubts. But doubt leads to questions, which leads to ideas. You have to remember that even the person that looks the most confident in the world is scared sometimes. It's just that they choose to do it while they're scared. So yeah, you might be thinking, there might be better people qualified to be speaking right now. But if you get the opportunity, why not trying to change the world? My story of saving humanity starts with being chronically online when I was around 13 years old. I moved cities quite a lot, so it was hard to maintain friends offline. I loved reading, I loved writing, and online it looked like I found my people. People that shared my interests, people that thought exactly like me. And yet, I felt so lonely. The thing is that whenever you surround yourself with people that are just like you stop learning because you stop being exposed to all of these new ideas and thoughts. And loneliness is killing creativity, which is essential for innovation. In fact, loneliness could kill you. Social isolation has been shown to increase the risk of heart disease, dementia, stroke, and chronic illnesses. And yet, 25% of people globally say that they feel alone, and that number goes way up to 50% when you consider specific countries, or the more diverse you are. And you might be saying to me, but I look for community online. Studies also show that people that seek community online feel more lonely than the ones that don't. How many hours have you spent doom scrolling on your phone before bed? Congratulations, we're using social media and not engaging on the social part. With AI, fake news, honestly, the internet doesn't look so good to find community right now. The kids nowadays say that maybe we need to go touch some grass. Because, spoiler alert, no one is coming to save you. People think that making change requires time, money, and some sort of official institution. And for the most part, you would be right. But that's such a tiny percentage of population that gets to do that. How many people do you know in positions of power? What about the rest of us? Do we just sit around and wait for others to do something? Humanity is kind and hopeful. We grew up with these stories of unlikely heroes that wanted to change this dystopian world against anything. Stories of hope, right? But nowadays, you turn on the news, and hope is the last thing that we see. We're just individuals, right? And our unlikely heroes are addicted to our phones, saying to themselves, I will never have the guts to do something that matters. But yeah, one person can change too much. But what about a couple of us? When I was in college, I kind of got tricked into this Geek Sessions tech community meetup. And I went through that red door with a building that kind of looked like it was falling apart. And I found a bunch of geeks and nerds. They were drinking beers, brainstorming, launching projects together, helping each other find jobs, sharing stories of failure and success. Overall, just volunteering their own time. I got hooked into this. I actually got my first job in the Algarve just by attending one meetup. I attended more and more until eventually I got tricked into organizing the meetups themselves. And I realized with this progress that communities don't really care about changing the world at all. We're just worried about changing our surroundings. You see, we transform stillness into action. And we do so because great communities are not led. They're built through collaboration. Decentralizing power can actually make a lot of tiny action possible. And tiny actions are anything that inspires hope. When you think about informal communities, that's the only thing that we do. And we have this idea that communities can be very close or like a niche, but communities can actually be for everyone. For example, in Lisbon, there's this group of grandmothers that have a co-working space. They build their crafts, they sell it, and they're passing the time. They're fighting loneliness by being creative and together. You actually have the same thing in Faro, but just at the library. And this type of movements, which are very informal, what we call in the startup world grassroots level of communities, can have a lot of benefits. They can improve your self-confidence because you're socializing. They can reduce your stress levels because you're having fun. Communities are not official. This is not a job. You're there because you want to. And communities really work hard to create safe places. And who knows, maybe influence public spaces as well. Of course, not all communities are good. There are people preying on our vulnerabilities. There are hateful, loud groups, which are a minority, but they are loud nonetheless. And of course, there are communities jumping on this trend. Before it was family, now it's community. Whenever you find yourself belonging to a community, ask yourself along the way, is this community serving a purpose that I can be proud of, that I believe in, that is actually contributing to something good? With that in mind, let me tell you a small story about a group of impact hackers that were born out of a question. There's a female entrepreneur community here in the Algarve, and they like to ask this question to their participants. Does anybody need help? One woman, Filomena, leads a foster care association for kids, and she wanted to raise awareness so that she could find more families that wanted to foster care. Adoption is not the same thing as foster care, but many of us don't know this. Another woman in the community, Vanessa, she knew people from the geek community, she knew people from business, and she knew people from public associations. So together, we did a hackathon. So over one weekend, we got people together, developers, marketeers, lawyers, sales, social workers, anyone that wanted us to help find a solution. And with that, we managed to build 6 projects that all tackled different types of this problem. And we even raised 4,000 euros for the association, something that, as an informal community, was crazy for us to do. Informal communities are not on paper, so we really have to rely on others and ask for help. Our participants return to future meetups that we did, even if irregularly. And for example, they're now thinking, what if we did a role-playing game framework so that we could deliver to other associations? And then we can kind of create these safe spaces that are creative in nature. You see, once you feel that impact, it sticks. And it's not about the end result at all. In communities, we don't really care if the end result is going to be good. We only care that we tried to do something. But a lot of people always say to me that they don't know how to start. They don't know how to actually belong to a community. So let me give you a couple of simple steps that I feel like everybody can follow. Step 1, find time. 1 hour a month. Someone is already saying that their calendar is too busy. I promise you, 1 hour a month is enough. Next, pick a problem that you are passionate about. Make it the most selfish that you can, because you will be motivated to find a solution for it. Next, identify a skill that you could trade. And what do you do with your family, with your friends, at work? Communities require a diverse crowd in order to have the most effect. If you really cannot think on anything that you can share, think about something that you want to learn. Because maybe in the community, someone can help you with that. And now the worst part, finding a community. Everybody keeps saying, oh, we have no communities here. That is not true. Communities suffer from a big problem, which is lack of resources for marketing. And talk to people offline. Look online. Use the internet to actually Google that. If you really cannot find a community, well, create one. It's super simple. Grab 1 to 2 friends, coworkers, your cousins, and schedule a time at a coffee shop. And then publish it online. Don't worry, no one will show up. Because you would be super lucky. There are communities that start in the first 10 meetups. It's just the organizers. After you got the step of having the meetups and identifying what you want to work with, anytime that you meet someone new, ask if they need help. And really try to shut up and listen. This person might have a new problem that you know nothing about, and you can have a fresh perspective that can find a completely new solution to it. And finally, don't overthink logistics. Things don't take as much time and money as you think that they do. And by the time that you reach that level in a community that you actually require both of those, you already have momentum. So it will be easier for you to figure out a solution. That's it. Simple steps. At the end of the day, informal communities are a bit under threat, even if right now they seem to be a trend. People come and people go. Sometimes we have to be selfish. We have to take care of ourselves first. So we can't actually move on and help others. But if communities are not led, they will survive without you. We sometimes don't like to hear about this, but it's true. If you help somebody thrive and that person can continue to thrive without you, you should be really proud at what you accomplished. I just said before that things don't take time, but things, of course, take time. They take time, you will find challenges, but because the community is informal, you should see these challenges as something fun, like playing a video game. And finally, there are people out there that would really, really like that you stay still, addicted to your phones, not playing outside. There's a reason for that. There are people that are trying to stop innovation, when we can fight against that by doing something so simple as having fun together at a coffee shop. So I would like to give you a small challenge for today. Pick one thing that you think would make someone else smile. It can be something very silly. Write it down somewhere. And then read it out loud. I even dare you to read it to somebody else, because that makes it a bit more scary. Now, imagine a world where there are these groups of informal communities saving humanity simply by having fun together, being present, and inspire small acts of hope. That world already exists, and the choice is yours if you want to join us. There are dreamers and hackers actively fighting against the world, not because they have to, but because they want to. And ask yourselves, if you don't do it for others, why don't you start doing it for yourself? Thank you.